An old man asks his wife, "Do you remember the first time we made out 50 years ago? We went behind the village tavern, and you leaned against the back fence and I made love to you." She says, "Yes, I remember it well." He says, "How about going there again? We can do it for old time's sake." "Oh, Jim, you old devil, that sounds like a crazy but good idea." They slowly walk to the other side of the village, leaning on each other for support aided by walking sticks. Finally, they get to the fence behind the tavern. As she leans against the fence, the old man moves in. Then suddenly, they erupt into the most furious sex. This goes on for about 10 minutes while both are making loud noises and moaning and screaming. Finally, they both collapse on the ground. A young man who is passing sees them and is amazed. He thinks this is truly amazing. So he approaches them and says, "Excuse me, but that was amazing. You must have had a fantastic sex life together. Is there some sort of secret to this?" Shaking, the old man is barely able to reply, "50 years ago, that wasn't an electric fence. Many years ago, during my married days, I accidentally overturned my golf cart." Emily, a very attractive and keen golfer who lived in a villa on the golf course, heard the noise and called out, "Are you okay? What's your name?" As I pulled myself out of the twisted cart, I replied, "It's Dave, and I'm okay, thanks." Emily said, "Forget your troubles. Come to my villa, rest a while, and I'll help you get the cart up later." I answered, "That's mighty nice of you, but I don't think my wife would like it." She insisted, "Oh, come on now." She was so very pretty, very sexy and very persuasive, and I was weak. So I finally agreed, but thought to myself, my wife won't like it. After a couple of restorative scotch and waters, I thanked Emily. I feel a lot better now, but I know my wife is going to be really upset, so I'd best go now. "Don't be silly," Emily said with a smile, letting her robe fall open slightly. "She won't know anything. By the way, where is she? Still under the cart, I guess." Bill Clinton goes to a bar with his friend Dave. They spend the night drinking beer and eating nachos. It is around midnight that Dave turns to Bill and says, "It is getting late, and my wife has already texted me 22 times. I am in a big trouble." Bill says, "Why are you so scared?" Dave responds, "You know, I don't know what else to do. Whenever I go home after we've been out drinking, I turn the headlights off before I get to the driveway. I shut off the engine and coast into the garage. I take my shoes off before I go into the house. I sneak up the stairs. I get undressed in the bathroom. I ease into bed, and I try to be as quiet as possible. But my wife still wakes up, makes a scene, and yells at me for staying out so late for 2 hours straight." Bill looks at him and says, "Well, you're obviously taking the wrong approach." He continues, "I screech into the driveway, slam the door, storm up the steps, throw my shoes into the closet, jump into bed, rub my hands on Hillary's butt and say, 'How about a blowjob?' And she's always sound asleep." Dave keeps telling his wife, Emily, "Honey, you have such a beautiful butt." It's not just Dave. Emily's previous lovers also complimented her butt. Every person in the town agrees that she does have a very beautiful butt. Dave's birthday is coming up, so Emily decides to take a trip to the tattoo parlor and get the words "beautiful butt" tattooed on her ass to surprise Dave. Emily walks in and tells the tattoo artist her husband thinks she has a beautiful butt. He looks and says, "He is right. You do have a beautiful butt." She then tells the man, "I want beautiful butt tattooed on my butt." The man tells her, "I can't fit that on your butt. It takes up too much space. But I tell you what, I will tattoo one B on each cheek, and BB can stand for a beautiful butt." Emily agrees and gets it done. On Dave's birthday, she hears him come home and is only wearing a robe. She then stands at the top of the stairs. Dave opens the door and Emily says, "Look, honey." She then takes off the robe she is wearing, bends over, and shows her tattoo. Dave yells, "Who the fuck is Bob?" A married couple was in a terrible accident where the woman's face was severely burned. The doctor told the husband that they couldn't graft any skin from her body because she was too skinny, so the husband offered to donate some of his own skin. However, the only skin on his body that the doctor felt was suitable would have to come from his buttocks. The husband and wife agreed that they would tell no one about where the skin came from, and requested that the doctor also honor their secret. After all, this was a very delicate matter. After the surgery was completed, everyone was astounded at the woman's new beauty. She looked more beautiful than she ever had before. All her friends and relatives just went on and on about her youthful beauty. One day, she was alone with her husband, and she was overcome with emotion at his sacrifice. She said, "Dave, I just want to thank you for everything you did for me. There is no way I could ever repay you." "My dear Emily," Dave replied, Think nothing of it. I get all the thanks I need every time I see your mother kiss you on the cheek. I worked at a mental hospital for 2 years, and while I was there were these 2 patients who were inseparable. Their names were Emily and Dave. One day, when they were walking by the hospital swimming pool, Dave decided that he was going to jump into the deep, and then he sank to the bottom. Now, Emily jumped in the pool to save him, and she swam all the way to the bottom and picked him up. When the medical director found out about this, he ordered Emily to be discharged from the hospital immediately. He said, "Emily just did a heroic act. It shows that she is mentally stable." I went to Emily to tell her the news. As I went into her room, I was like, "I got good news and bad news for you. The good news is you're being discharged because you were able to save another patient's life." Then I said, "I hate to tell you this, but the bad news is Dave decided to hang himself in the bathroom with his bathrobe." I looked at her, and I was like, "I'm so sorry, but he's dead." Emily looked at me in my eyes and said, "He didn't hang himself, silly. I put him up there to dry." The young, good-looking Melania marries old, rich Donald. The marriage doesn't go well in the bedroom, so the couple decides to go to a therapist. Melania explains, "No matter how long or often we try, he can't please me." The therapist says, "You guys have to find a younger man." Donald is a little angry. What the hell is the young man supposed to do? The therapist replies, "The younger man will wave a towel at Melania while you grab her special parts so she doesn't look at you and can let her imagination do the job." They find a young guy. He waves a towel at Melania while Donald is working on her. They try over and over, but Donald can't please her. So Melania suggests swapping the men's roles. Donald isn't very happy about it, but his hands are tired of grabbing. So the young guy gets in bed with Melania, and Donald waves the towel and watches them. After a minute, Melania is finally pleased. Donald proudly tells the young man, "You are useless. This is how I did it on my first try. I think I would qualify as not good, but as an expert at waving the towel and a very stable genius at that." 3 friends marry women from different parts of the world. The first one marries a beautiful Greek girl. He tells her that she is responsible for cleaning the dishes and house. It takes a couple of days, but on the 3rd day, he comes home to see a clean house, washed and organized dishes, and delicious gyros prepared for dinner. The second man marries a Thai. He orders his wife to be responsible for all the cleaning, dishes, and cooking. He doesn't see any results the first day, but the next day, he sees things improving. By the 3rd day, he sees his house shine clean, dishes are done and organized, and there is minced pork, stir-fried with chili and Thai basil, on the table for dinner. The 3rd man marries a girl from Canada. He orders her to keep the house cleaned, dishes washed, laundry washed, and hot meals on the table for every meal. The first day, he doesn't see anything. On the 2nd day, he doesn't see anything either, but by the 3rd day, some of the swelling has already gone down, and he can see a little out of his left eye. A woman was in bed with her boyfriend when she heard her husband's car pull into the driveway. She yells to her lover, "Oh my God, hurry, grab your clothes and jump out the window. My husband's home early." "I can't jump out the window. It's raining out there." She replies, "If my husband catches us in here, he'll kill us both." So the boyfriend scoots out of bed, grabs his clothes, and jumps out the window. As he began running down the street in the pouring rain, he quickly discovered he had run right into the middle of the town's annual marathon. Being naked, with his clothes tucked under his arm, he tried to blend in as best he could. After a little while, a small group of runners, who had been studying him with some curiosity, jogged closer. "Do you always run in the nude?" one asked. "Oh yes," he replied, gasping in air. Another runner moved alongside. "Do you always run carrying your clothes under your arm?" "Oh yes. That way, I can get dressed right at the end of the run and get in my car to go home." Then a 3rd runner cast his eyes a little lower and asked, "Do you always wear a condom when you run?" "Only if it's raining."